most of my colleagues that we graduated together, less than 1% of us are doing what is related with our course of study. And that's not only peculiar to biochemistry. It's happening in other fields. So each field has their business. Are we doing justice to teach those disciplines very well? Also are now trying out that they are taking tax action because of the 2009 agreement, 15 years ago, federal government agreement. So we are not posturing as a country that wants professionals. If you have a good system, we won't be talking about entrepreneurs. We want to turn basically everybody into entrepreneurship. I have a medical student who is a graphic designer. In a country whereby the medical doctors are being well remunerated, this student should be thinking about innovation. And whoever wants to be a graphic designer should not that of necessity, but of passion. So the disruption our system has also brought about innovation, which is a win-win for we young people.
It's a delight again to be right in your face, but this is not Souk Business Landscape. It is Just Africa. Many thanks for joining us. Now, across Africa, a new generation of young professionals is breaking traditional boundaries, turning skills, knowledge, and creativity beyond the primary careers into new streams of wealth, from the academic venturing into tech startups, engineers building fashion brands, to doctors operating health tech solutions. These multi-skilled professionals are redefining how wealth is created in the society on the continent. And today on the program, we'll explore how Africa's young professionals are creating wealth beyond their fields, their primary fields, the opportunities, the challenges, and what it means for businesses, the economy, and the development across the continent. Olumide, welcome to the program.
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are watching us. I'm Olumide Shukri and welcome to Just Africa. I like this particular topic because we grew up, well, I wouldn't blame our parents. They just wanted the best for us. At a certain point in time, you either had to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an architect. That was what our parents wanted.
Engineer.
Or an engineer. And it is believed that you would go to school, you will graduate, and you will be gainfully employed. So that idea of wanting to start a business was not then familiar to the African society, but thank God for innovations, thank God for problem solving. We've seen, people come up with different ideas and build business. At a point in time, you had to just go to the bank and send money and receive money. But someone thought of, why can't we have, ATMs, from ATMs to POS machines and, the list apps. So now we have people who are gainfully employed but still have other businesses. They're entrepreneurs. So you can decide to be a blue-collar worker and still be an entrepreneur. We've seen whereby consultants in government or federal healthcare facilities have their own clinics.
Yes.
We've seen whereby bankers have their own little financial institutions, the POS and the rest of them. So it's not far-fetched that you must just have one particular job. The goal is to have different source of income to attain your own type of financial freedom.
And now, joining us on the program today is a prominent person, Faith Ayotunde Ogunshina. He is a dynamic Nigerian academic and entrepreneur. He's a lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry at Ladoke Akintola University of Technology. He teaches and conducts research in the life sciences. Beyond academia, he is the director of Yoda Creative, a forward-looking creative agency that delivers innovative branding, media, and communication solutions. His career reflects the growing trend of Africa's young professionals leveraging their expertise across multiple fields to create wealth, impact, and opportunities. He's passionate about youth empowerment and cross-disciplinary innovation. He also embodies the spirit of Africa's next generation of wealth creators. Faith Ayotunde Ogunshina, you are welcome to Just Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here this afternoon.
Great. It's good to have you on the program. Now, we are talking about multi-professionalism, if there's a word like that. Multiple way of living and doing business. In fact, some people, from the introduction of my colleague about the topic of conversation, he was referring to it still as something that's sort of a new trend in the continent of Africa. Gone are the days where our parents used to just focus on one and they just continue. What happened? What called for the transformation?
Well, there's the teaching, like you said, there's a cultural shift, trend happening with we young people, the millennials, the Gen Z these days. And we've learned from our parents that you need multiple income streams. And also, we discovered that mostly when most of our parents are reaching retirement stage, that's when they really want to do something they love, something they would have loved to explore and try. So there are so many reasons that could have accounted for people being in multi-dimensional profession, industry that do not really that do not correlate. So another thing is some might have been doing something before they got the employment, and I just try to hold on to it. And also for some of us, it's just to explore our creative side. Aside being in the classroom, being in the laboratory, I've been doing this for close to a decade now. So if you continue, since I'm able to organize and manage myself very well with it. But I believe that some other young folks also share the sentiment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gunshina Faith. But is it that there's one other aspect we've not actually looked at? It wasn't motivated by the economic realities of life, where salaries are just too small, the take-home salaries are too small to take you home? Or is it that in Nigeria and in most African countries, when you look at the education industry, people want to go to university to study their course of choice, but maybe JAM kept jamming them in Nigeria, or the JAM the JAM counterpart in Kenya or in Ghana kept hitting students, so they just took up any course and get into the university. After graduation, they just need an education to be the launching pad of their desire for profession.
Some people were young when they got admission, and the truth is that our exposure level determines our purpose in life. A student from Nigeria will not dream of becoming an hockey player, but because that's what is not exposed to that kind of life. So growing up, having more exposure, relating with people of so many facets of life, some people catch their purpose in life, that I can also do this, I can also become this. That's one. Secondly, is that some parents choose, they've already planned the direction of life for their children. But as one of my uncle was telling me, his colleague who studied medicine and is now working as an auditor in a multinational firm. He studied medicine, spent 7 years, but that because that was what the parents wanted for him. So there are many faces to it. Another thing that we can shy away from is the economic reality of Africa. The wages and remuneration rate is not really meeting up with the standard, with the level of inflation and standard of living. So that has forced so many people into multiple jobs. The best way this might have worked for those people in that case is to still be in their industry, discipline within their industry, and find the business in their profession. But we see that it's sometimes hard to do that. All right, to set up a life science research laboratory is going to be very expensive. And most professors there, even universities are underfunded when it comes to research lab. And people just have to, go into some other things so that they can augment for the shortage of income from their employment. So there's no one clear-cut answer to it. Some they love it, it's passion. Some is family background, family issues, and to some they just have to know. And so we can look at it from various angles. But it's for the development of Africa, whichever way it is.
Thank you very much. So I have two questions. The first question is, I want to talk about diversification. Do you think this shift is driven more by necessity, maybe by trying to attain financial freedom, peer pressure, or opportunity, or global influence. Now, second question, professional success meant at a point climbing in a particular field. So do you see a situation whereby if people are diversifying, they might lose that professionalism in one particular field?
The first question talking about necessity. Yes, necessity is one of the factors that force people into multidisciplinary fields. But that is not the sole reason. When it comes to issue of having two business professions, there's issue of funding. And some businesses at the basic entry level are easier than for some. So we can actually say that it's out of necessity. And some people just find it fashionable. Ideally, for someone like me who is about chemist, if you are referred as probably as you own a research lab, computation analysis lab, or going to something else. But I've been doing this for quite a while since my undergraduate days. And even after becoming an academician, I choose to continue the business. And also, talking about it affecting each other, the human mind is dynamic, and if proper planning is not if proper planning is not done, that one is going to affect one. Attaining professional level in one career, attaining excellence in creativity in business or what have you, if the right thing is not constituted, it's going to affect each other. But putting the right things structure in place. For instance, one of the things I've done for my own business is that I've outsourced the human resource of the business to a consultancy agency. So I don't have to think about tax payments, who comes to work, who does not come to work. Some people take care of that for me. My sole purpose is just marketing brand identity. When it comes to operation, the staff are doing, I have staff people and doing that very well. So mine is just quality assurance and making that we deliver top-notch quality. And in fact, I'm concluding I'm still in the middle of my PhD, and it's a very enormous task. And if I've not strategized, they will have been affecting each other. So if proper planning is not done, being in two industries, you have to forgo one for one. But if one is determined that as you are doing this, you also must make sure this is it's going to tell on you. It will be stressful, but I believe it's possible because of the flexibility, the dynamism of the human mind and capability.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Faith, let's talk about the monetary aspect of it. Do you think, first of all, the Nigerian informal economy or the informal economy in the African setting constitutes about 80% of the employment market, in the sense that the informal economy provides about 80% of employment across Africa? And sometimes this informal economy is not well captured when we start talking about the macroeconomic dynamics, and we're talking about business, economy, and development of each country in the continent of Africa. Do you think this professional diversification or career diversification, as the case may be, has worked well? Is it for good, or does it have its own lapses?
Well, in context, we can say that they are not well captured because various informal industry have associations whereby members belong to. And for those that are not in those associations, there are some businesses who are registered with the government, using Nigeria as a case study with the Corporate Commission as well. So the market it also about Nigeria economy is largely informal and it's very well captured. And I think the government are further reinforcing their efforts in making sure that the informal market is well captured. The reforms that is coming to the tax policies, if well implemented, is going to capture everybody's in very well into that market. But for some other countries, probably the government of the country has to devise means to make sure that everybody is well captured. And we need to synchronize our data very well in Nigeria because those are things, the disparity in data, various database, is part of the means whereby people are building being factored into the government database. But in my opinion, the informal sector are being factored and taxes are being paid indirectly on whatever is happening in those sectors.
Would you advise students either in secondary school or in the university, tertiary institutions to own businesses? Or do we make business management a compulsory subject in secondary schools?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the dysfunction in our systems has led to certain innovation. If we are being sincere, the students should focus on is academics. But when as a student you think that what is the hope for me in my current discipline, you start making plans for yourself. What do I want to do in my life? For instance, most of my colleagues that we graduated together, less than 1% of us are doing what is related with our course of study. And that's not only peculiar to biochemistry. It's happening in other fields. So each field has their business. Each field has the skill set. But are we doing justice to teach those disciplines very well? ASU are now crying out that they are taking tax action because of the 2009 agreement, 16 years ago, federal government agreement. So we are not posturing as a country that wants professionals. One of my cousins, who is a law student in school, he came back from one of the federal university and he said he wants to go and learn tailoring or something. I told him, I said, no. Even though it's part of what I do in my business, I could have absorbed it. I said, no. Let's go to a law firm and go and do internship with them as a 200 level student. You will get something. You are going to know the business of the law profession. Don't, if afterwards you graduated from law school and nothing that you want to do tailoring, no problem. But for now, make sure that you, so I don't advise students to, for those who are doing it, they should find a way to manage it so that it doesn't affect the academics and the graduates with good grades. And for those who have not, they should take their studies. If we have a good system, we won't be talking about entrepreneurs. We want to turn basically everybody into entrepreneurship. I have a medical student who is a graphic designer. In a country whereby the medical doctors are being well remunerated, this student should be thinking about innovation. And whoever wants to be a graphic designer should not be out of necessity, but out of passion. So the disruption in our system has also brought about innovation, which is a win-win for we young people because at least we are still trying to get back. Really. Thank you.
There's a difference between earning money and creating wealth. So how can young professionals, how can they move from side hustles to creating or building sustainable wealth and enterprises?
All right. So building wealth is a long-term game. It's not a short-term. But you need to earn to build wealth. And part of the building wealth is about investing in the right portfolio and diversification. If you are earning good, either from your profession or from your business, one of the ways one can build wealth is investing in stock, buying government bonds, investing in real estate, good area, good catchment area. It's not buying land in one forest and expecting that it will grow in. So having the right property, having the right financial instruments is about having a strategy. What I'm making, how much am I putting in place? There's something called compounding effect. So building wealth is not something that happens overnight. It's a long time game. It's a game of 10, 15, 20, 40 years. So not just earning. The young professional needs to shut the door of trying to be among, trying to impress people. It's about having a long-term goal. Some young people now have the addiction of updating their phone every year, even if they have to go to the bank or do as much as borrow to do that. Some want to drive impressionable cars. Why not having emergency funds? So building wealth is a long-term game, but you need to earn to build wealth. So after you earn, what you do afterwards with those money will now determine if you are building wealth or you are just living the moment and just going with the vibe.
There's this trend whereby young entrepreneurs or young professionals, they just exit their job because they want to start a new job. So my question is, would you advise for young upcoming entrepreneurs to leave their blue collar work and go into personal or side hustles, or how can they maintain the two? Would you advise them to leave one for the other or maintain the two?
The thing is, at a point, the side hustle will have to become the main hustle because it's about having safety net. Business is very brutal, and nobody will pardon you, have mercy on you for your mistakes and excesses. So why most people do multiple jobs is to have to give them the kind of safety net while building, so that whatever goes wrong does not really impact them negatively. But if you've done your side hustle for about 3, 4 years and it's giving you good income, if it's really short person, they might decide to quit their day-to-day job and focus on their business very well. If your business is giving you about 5 million naira, 1 million to 5 million naira monthly, and you are earning about 200,000 where you are working, my advice would be that focus 100% of your energy on that business. If it is doing enough, then it can give you more. And people stay in jobs for various reasons. Some for personal glorification, no, some for political visibility, some for societal recognition. Some people might not want to leave their job. So it depends on the preferences of each person. So people leaving their white collar job to focus and build their startup is very advisable if the startup is doing wonderfully well.
Thank you very much. Now, I know we're due for a break, but before we go on that break, I need you to, attend to this question. You spoke about you when you were in school doing biochemistry, and that you were equally doing something else for which it looks like that's what you're focusing on now. But I'll need you to clarify that if I'm getting it properly or not. What I'm trying to point your attention is this. When I was in school, what I'm doing today was what I was doing in school. But that was not my course of study. I was studying public administration. And for about 3 years or 4 years, I was in the press club. Most students that I know, they were running businesses while they were in school. Some of them would go to the bakery as early as 6 a.m. in the morning. They're having 7 a.m. class to go buy bread, distribute to their clients before running down to class. Other students were into graphic design, others were into photography, and today they own studios. Some of them were studying political science. Some other students who were studying agricultural engineering in school, they were busy practicing student politics in school. And today, they are full-time politicians. So, do you see, is it necessary, or from these few explanations, that we should give or review the way we draw up our academic curriculum so that our academians can have a way of entrenching some of these core activities into extracurricular activities that can, be allowed to take place in our tertiary institutions, so that students, while studying accounting in school, can also be running a business or into a productive venture that may end up being their line of career.
There's no one clear cut, one path to life. And I'm an advocate for personal development. So anybody who chooses to do that, for example, while I was in school, I was in many organizations in school too. The school they made availability for that. They allow NGOs, the press club, there's one for the journalists. There's so many associations like that in school that came on board that really help with personal development and public speaking, confidence and courage and the like. But like what is happening now, trying to make it into a curriculum is as a result of dysfunction in the society. That's my point. I've been doing this as a student also, but it was from a personal choice. It was not made compulsory. Probably they were going to incorporate that. That can happen as an elective. So students who are interested can go into such entrepreneurship course and take them, but should not be made into a gradable course because someone studying medicine, why will you create into the curriculum for that person to learn graphic design or something? So that's the point at which I'm coming from. Anybody that wants to do that on their own, should, but should not be incorporated into the curriculum as a course.
All right. So I like to ask again, what role does financial literacy and smart investment, what role does it play in entrepreneurship?
Financial literacy plays an important role, not only in student-driven businesses, even in professional, because it makes planning very easy. If you know what is coming in, what is going out, what are the excesses that you don't need, the loopholes that you are spending on, how to invest your money properly, how to recognize a working business, Ponzi scheme, and the like. Those are the basis of building wealth. So financial literacy cannot be overemphasized. It's very important it's a very important topic that I think everybody should know about.
Another question I would like to ask is when people decide to diversify, they don't take cognizance of networks and mentorship. And network, they say, is your network. So how can young professionals or people who want to diversify, how can they make use of networks, mentorships, and even collaborations?
Thank you for raising that topic. Uh, Network is very important and mentorship because it helps you to avoid the pit that someone else, the pain that someone else have gone into. And during mentorship, you can be exposed to a whole lot of another market and things that it's going to take you years to achieve, you can achieve in a short possible time. And if you see people who are really doing well in businesses, why they say that your network is your network is because it's a kind of leverage, an advantage for the professional. If there's a recommendation for a job and you're a mentor, that's someone who is a big lead in your industry, the person can easily pick you up for that position. Even though you have one position, the person can be your voice in the other room. Mostly, businesses are through human relation, through my interaction. Oh, I know somebody who can do this. There can be recommendation for that. And the mentality of trying to travel solo has eroded us the benefits that come from mentorship. I tell people you want to start with them, go and work in a place for about 2 years where you do what you want to start. You want to start a business, you learn on the job, you learn the rope of the job, you learn the business of the job, and your starting point should not be from zero. It should be from wherever you've internship, when you've done your apprenticeship or something.
You studied biochemistry in the university, and it's like you're currently teaching biochemistry, but you established Yoda Creative Company, which is into branding and production. What inspired that? And what does the what does what does what do you how do you get inspired by doing that? In fact, your deviation was quite wide. You study biochemistry in school, but you run a company that is into creativity, branding, and production. I mean, what inspired your move into creativity and branding production?
During the first section, I was saying how dynamic the human mind is and the level of creativity that happens in the mind. So, what inspired me to go into a production and branding business? But there was a time in the country whereby some outfits were being produced, and I didn't like the feel, the text on them. They're saying something, putting some mute text on clothes. And as a believer, I'm a Christian, so I had passion for evangelism. I just thought I could make outfits. That was in 2015. I can make shirts and I put scriptural verses of Bible-oriented stuff on it. So that was how I started. So I made some few ones. People loved it, and from there the business just kept going. it just kept going. So that was what really inspired me to start. That was the journey of the business. I saw something that I didn't like. When you want to buy shirts in the market, some vulgar language was printed on them. The society was not this sensitive then. So if people could wear anything like that has yarn, not to say some of those words. So that was the inspiration. And that was how the business started. So from there, the business starts growing, picking one form of production, adding to this, adding to that.
All right, thank you very much, Faith Additional. So, in final, when rounding up, if young professionals, if they succeed in creating wealth beyond their field, what kind of Africa do you see in the next 20 years? And on the other hand, if we fail to harness this particular momentum, what are the risks?
This is very enormous. Africa has the largest population of youth worldwide now. So I believe that we need to maximize this. Some countries are going into their workforce is going to extinction because of the population of their youth and the policies they've made in time past. And if we fail to maximize this, it will take us a long year. It might take us like about a century to get it back. This is the time for Africa to industrialize, and we need to do it properly. Our leaders at all levels need to put in policies that will further enable young creative, young entrepreneurs to channel their youthfulness to the creation of wealth in Africa. It's very risky. We are losing so many young people to Japa syndrome these days. And not only in Nigeria, throughout Africa, people are leaving their country, going to Europe, going to the United States, going to China. We are losing our strong workforce. And at the end of the day, we will continue to be a consumer economy if we fail to, if we miss this tide of having so many people come on board with their energetic intelligence to improve our production capacity.
Okay, thank you. Now, in rounding up, Mr. Faith Ogushina, now for what would you advise the government to do to promote the operations of the informal economy? And also that also comes with your final thoughts to encourage people in multi-professional activities, like a lawyer running a fintech company, or like a doctor owning a restaurant and other enterprises.
One of the advice I'm going to give to someone that wants to run, my final words on running a multi-business is please keep at it, because you are unknowingly creating employment for others, and we are helping lift people out of poverty. And my appeal to the government to be that they should create more bonds. There was a time during the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, people do not have to know somebody to win you win grants, and it has helped a lot of businesses. In my place of work, some sets they had their reunion this Saturday, and I was opportune to represent the department. And someone was sharing testimony of how an alumni, the fund they got to bring President Jonathan regime was what established his business, and the business is doing well. That's what he and his family are feeding on, and they created employment. They have about 15 staff in that business. So if there are grants for small business, the Tony Olumelu Foundation, they are doing well in that regard. Some other organizations are doing well. Business is hard on its own, and we can't really bootstrapping business is hard. It's not easy. So there's a need for grants, not even investment from venture capitalists now. There's a need for grants because we are talking about informal sector. There's a need for grants to come into this sector, grants that will be monitored properly. And if money does not want to be given to business people, there can be an asset grant. You can buy equipment, machinery for industries who need them. Accessing loan from Bank of Industry is not a small feat. The requirements are very enormous for the informal sector. This is available for the formal sector. They are the one that can meet some of the requirements. So creating grants is what is very important. And finally, anyone in the multi-dimensional profession, creating business outside of your profession, please keep at it. Because either you like it or not, the pay that we are getting from one business is what most people use to start up and to fund the other businesses. And by so doing, you're also taking people out of poverty and creating employment for people. You're also contributing your own quota to national growth. It's not, there are routes that it won't be easy. There are routes that will be challenging. But just know that that's your own contribution to development of our continent and our country at large. Thank you very much.
So much, Faith Ayotunde Ogunshina, for your time with us today on Just Africa. We really appreciate your presence. Now, Faith Ayotunde Ogunshina is a dynamic Nigerian academic and entrepreneur. He's a lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry at Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, where he teaches and conducts research in life sciences beyond academia. He is the director of Yoda Creative, a forward-looking creative agency that delivers innovative branding, media, and communication solutions. Thank you so much for your time with us today on Just Africa.
No. Thank you for having me.
Much welcome.